Welcome to Behind the Voice, a sub-series of the Rural Recharge podcast. I'm your host, Jeb Smith, president of Florida Farm Bureau Federation. This special series takes you behind the scenes to meet the leadership team at Florida Farm Bureau Federation. Each episode will highlight the various departments that work together to ensure our members' voices are heard. From advocating for smart policy to providing vital resources, our staff is committed to fulfilling our mission of increasing the net income of farmers and ranchers and improving the quality of rural life. Our guest joining us today is Ms. Mitzi Lucas, Leadership Programs Coordinator of Florida Farm Bureau. Our conversation today will detail how Mitzi and the leadership programs serve our members of the Florida Farm Bureau Federation and advance the voice of ag. Mitzi, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
To start off, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you're from, how you got here.
Yes, sir. So I am from California, and I have grown up in agriculture. I wasn't born and raised on a farm or ranch, but agriculture has always been a part of my life. My parents were raised on dairies. I was in 4-H. My parents had an ag commodity trucking company for all my growing up years, and my dad's managed a sod farm for all of my life.
Right.
An uncle that was a CEO of California Dairies, another uncle that was a tractor salesman his whole life. So it's always been a part of my life and in the community that I've been a part of. I did go to work for a county farm bureau right out of college. That was my first job back in California.
How about that?
And then followed that up working for an irrigation district and even going into work for a private high school. I was part of starting the FFA chapter there. So agriculture's always been a through line of my career. And when I came to Florida, there was a point where I was looking for a new position, and Farm Bureau was there, and it just made sense. It's like coming home. So that's how I got here.
Mitzi, tell us a little bit about your background with California Farm Bureau, because it's different there, and what you did is very different there. So tell us a little bit of that, because I think that'll help to understand a little bit about how you ended up here and what you're doing now.
Yeah. So I worked at the county farm bureau, and the county farm bureaus in California are federation only. Mm-hmm. So I was able to work with membership, their YF&R program, their ag education, legislation, regulatory. I mean, I did all the programs for the county farm bureau. So I was able to work with members on those programs and issues.
Well, I think it's even extensive to you were doing like a newsletter and a newspaper kind of thing.
That's actually, pretty unique for even the county farm bureaus in California. We had a weekly newspaper. They still have it.
No way.
So, yeah.
Well, I think it's neat because everybody's different. Everybody functions differently. We're a little bit different than other states, but California, very different. A lot of responsibility in somebody like your position that was running a county farm bureau is almost like running a small state. So you ended up coming to Florida. You were a district field representative for a little bit.
Yes. That's the first position I had, was a district field rep for District 2.
And then you came over to be the leadership program coordinator.
Just a few months ago.
Absolutely, just a few months ago. So that tells everybody a little bit about yourself. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for doing that, because it's a big responsibility. So now tell everybody a little bit about your perspective on your functions, your duties within the position, what you're responsible for.
My position is to facilitate our women's program and our young farmers and ranchers program, as well as connecting with some of the youth organizations and ag education organizations, Florida Ag in the Classroom, FFA, 4-H, Junior Cattlemen's Association. So my role is to facilitate all of those programs and connections. And with the women's program, it is to give them the tools and resources to help all of the county women's committees to serve the mission, to get out and share their story and educate the public and educate the members on what Farm Bureau is doing to serve the mission of increasing the net income of farmers and ranchers and improving the quality of rural life. And the same is true for young farmers and ranchers, to give them the tools and resources to become the future leaders of Farm Bureau.
So name some of the bigger things that you do. Let's start off with the women's leadership program and some of the big things that you do there and responsible for.
So we do have a women's state committee.
That's right.
And the chairs of each of the districts serve on the committee. and they go back out into their district and serve their counties to, again, be a resource to the counties and the programs that they have in place, such as the youth speech contest and the mini grant for teachers, as well as operating the Women's Fund, getting contributions from each of the county farm bureaus, as well as doing other fundraisers to be able to donate money that supports women and children well-being and health, as well as ag education components. The women also put on a conference each year that allows women from across the state to come together and to network and hear from speakers on breakout sessions, get tips and tools to go back to their county and, again, enact those programs.
Tell us a little bit how you mentioned that there's a state women's leadership committee. Mm-hmm. How's that structured? Is it by district? And we have 9 districts, so there's somebody from each district?
Yes, sir. Yes. And they are voted on by the women's members at our annual meeting every year.
So that you have that's complete, it's full, and there's 9 women that serve on that committee.
Yes, as well as a chair and a vice chair, and also a representative from the Young Farmers and Ranchers Leadership Group.
And how often do they meet as a committee?
The meetings, they probably have 4 meetings over the year, but then they also have their conference. They attend our annual meeting. They attend the American Farm Bureau convention. So they probably meet 10 times a year. They also sponsor the Women of the Year Ag Luncheon at the State Fair. So they attend that. So they do a number of things throughout the year and have business meetings sprinkled in there. So I think it's about 10 times.
And that is a tremendous responsibility for you to make sure all those things are rightly coordinated within the group and make sure they're in the right place and people have accommodations and agendas are put together, all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, so that's the easy part. The women do the hard part and
that's right.
Making things happen back in their district and counties. But
so with the women, tell us a little bit about YF&R program, the Young Farmers and Ranchers, and how that works and some of the responsibilities that you have with them.
Yeah. So a lot of counties have their own YF&R committee as a part of their county farm bureau. And so my role is to be a resource to all those county committees. Then we have a leadership conference every year. We have a leadership group, which is a 2-year program that requires an application and a vetting process and approval by our state board. And that program purpose is to help develop the future leaders of Farm Bureau and the ag industry. It works to expose the YF&R members to all things Farm Bureau, as well as Florida agriculture and agriculture across the country. And it engages them in the processes and it equips them with leadership tools, communications, media training, other skills that they'll be able to use and need to be the future leaders of Farm Bureau.
So when you talk about processes, we're talking about development of policy, implementation of it, advocacy at the state and federal and even local levels?
Yes. There's 13 seminars over the 2 years. They visit D.C. They go to our Farm Bureau Day in Tallahassee both years. They'll move around the state. They'll meet with other county Farm Bureau leaders. They'll meet with other industry associations and visit farms, meet our members where they're at, and hear their stories and hear their challenges and successes so that they can be better advocates in the future.
Absolutely. Sounds like an exciting program. It's very
I think it is, yes.
So when you do that, how is it structured? Structured by district as well?
Yes. Mm-hmm. We allow 2 seats, or it could be 4 members because it can be a couple or a single that represent each district of the 9 districts.
So you can have up to 36 people then?
Yes, sir.
That's a lot of folks for that program. And they get to go on some really neat places. You mentioned D.C. to Tallahassee. Any other place they get to go?
We do also. They get to go to the American Farm Bureau Young Farmers and Ranchers Conference, which moves throughout the country. Next year's group will get to go to Portland, Oregon.
Oh, very good. Mm-hmm. Very good. This sounds like an exciting thing. All of these are tailored to assisting with our mission, which is clearly to increase the net income of farmers and ranchers and to improve the quality of rural life. Women and young people have a tremendous impact, and especially in advocacy. In your short time, it's only been a few months, but have you seen that impact and what it does on behalf of Florida agriculture?
Yes. I think even in the short few months that I've been doing this, well, first of all, the graduates of the leadership program are sprinkled across Farm Bureau through the state. You know, a number of members of our state board went through the program, and including yourself and others. So I think that in and of itself is showing you the results from the program and the impact that's being made.
I totally concur. I think it's imperative that we work to develop leadership skills, that we work in both sides, and both women's and young people. And these programs are a clear direction and need within our industry. And I think it's a wonderful to have a person, a staff member that's dedicated to that, to make sure they're handled rightly and correctly. And I appreciate you and your willingness, especially with your background, Mitzi. I think it's really unique. You'll bring a totally different perspective with some things that you've experienced with being in a different kind of environment in California.
Yes.
And I say different environment, the structure of California Farm Bureau, not just California itself, because it is different.
It is
very different. And yet you can bring that and the passion because of your background, having been exposed to agriculture in your life. Yeah. I mean, it's a good compliment. And I think that our women as well as our young people are really excited to have you here. Is there anything that you'd like to wrap up with, something that you might want to leave with our listeners about you or your position?
I think the timing of it, I would have to just leave with that the next class applications are open for our leadership group. I'm excited to have a full 2-year program with the group. I've had to come in and just be able to spend the last few months with this last class. And I will miss them, but I'm excited to see what the next group will bring. And I'm excited to watch what this current class goes on to do after they complete the program. So I'm incredibly excited to be a part of these programs, Women and YFNR, and happy to serve agriculture in the way I can.
So with that being said, how does somebody sign up? How do they apply to be a part of the YFNR leadership group?
Yeah, the application is online on our Young Farmer and Rancher page of the website, or you can visit your county farm bureau, and they will have information and a link to the application. So it is a lengthy application, but it is a big commitment. The state board of the Florida Farm Bureau invests a lot of money into this program, and so we do have high expectations of our class members. So the application obviously asks the basic information, but it has questions, background on their leadership, their involvement in agriculture, has some questions on what they see as the biggest challenges and opportunities for agriculture. They have to get references. They have to get their county president's support. So all of that goes into the application. Then they'll be interviewed if they get to that process. And then the members selected will then be taken in front of the state board for approval.
Very good. And the women's different in that they're elected within their district. So
yes.
that selection process is done
at
the meeting to try. Very good. Well, thank you so much, Mitzi. I think I've learned a lot today. It's been very good. And thank you so much for your time and what you're doing with our young farmers and ranchers as well as our women.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for supporting the Rural Recharge podcast. We hope that you are enjoying these conversations brought to you by farmers for your benefit. While you're here, please consider giving us a rating or a review. It really does help us to continue to share the stories of our Florida farm families and the important impact they have on your community. Thank you, and have a great day.